Hello, today we're going to look at Section 8 Slope-Intercept Form. This is on page 35, so if you would grab your notes packet, and if you need to pause this while you get your notes, go ahead and do that. We're going to look at a topic which brings together two topics we've studied separately, slope and intercepts. So this is called Slope-Intercept Form because this is a combination of those two ideas. And today we're going to look at actually day 1 notes and a little bit out of day 2. So slope-intercept form, though, is an equation. So I'd like you to write this equation down. Y equals mx plus b. Now, the m and the plus b are numbers that will come out of an equation or off of a graph. So the m represents the slope. And in fact, M will be a common letter for slope. The B, now plus, or if it's a negative, it'll be minus. That represents the y-intercept, which is why this is called slope-intercept form. Of course, slope and then intercept, and we call this slope-intercept form. It's the two items. So we're going to start out here by writing this equation in the form of slope-intercept form when we're given a sentence. So example 1, write the equation of the line with a slope of 6 and a y-intercept of 84. So I'm writing my equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. So slope of 6, that would represent my m. A y-intercept of 84 would represent the b. So my equation will say y equals 6x plus 84. So I'm just substituting my numbers in. Okay, number 2, write the equation of a line, slope of 17, there's my m, and a y-intercept of negative 33, that would be my b. So that would look like this, y equals 17x, and then minus 33 to represent the negative. Okay, slope-intercept form is also a very easy way to graph a line. So, we're going to go through some of those examples, graphing equations in slope-intercept form. So I'm going to graph this function. A function is just simply an equation. So y equals 4x minus 3. So the question you should always ask yourself, is this in slope-intercept form? And the answer is yes. So slope-intercept form is this equation, y equals mx plus b. And what I'm looking for is an equation solved for y. So in parentheses, I'm going to write solved for y. And when I look at the equation I'm given, yeah, I have y all by itself. So what I want to do is identify slope, comma, x-intercept, and y-intercept. And we're going to come back to x-intercept in a minute. But I want to pick out the m and the b from this equation. So the m is always being multiplied by the x. So in this problem, it's a 4. The b is the part of the equation that is not attached to a variable. So the negative 3. So negative 3. Now, when I graph this, I'm going to write a phrase down. Begin with the b. So if you remember that, you're always going to know how to start. So remember, the b is the y-intercept. And so where is a y-intercept located on a graph? Well, it's located on the y-axis. So I'm going to place negative 3 on the y-axis at negative 3. So 1, 2, 3, right there. So that's my y-intercept, that's my b. Now remember, slope is also rise over run. So I always want to turn integers, whole numbers, into fractions. And the way to do that without changing the value is to place it over 1. So I'm going to rise up 4 spots and I'm going to run 1. So from the dot, put your pencil on the dot, you're going to count up 4 and then to the right 1. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. And I'm going to keep doing it. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. Now you can see your line develop. What I'd like you to get in the habit of doing is going back to the y-intercept and reversing both directions. So I'm going to count down and to the left. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1. So if you want to grab a ruler, you can, or you can just try to draw yourself a straight line. You're going to connect these dots. Okay, and there is my line. So in order to find intercepts, actually let's hold that thought. We'll do that on a couple more examples in the future. Okay, let's move on. Next page. Okay, graph the function. So step one, and I want you to go ahead and write this down at the top. Y equals mx plus b. So step one, is it in slope-intercept form? So remember, you're asking yourself, is it solved for y, question mark? And then the answer is yes. So we're ready to identify the slope and y-intercept. So m is equal to the number multiplied by x, so negative 3 over 2. The b is positive 4, so I'm just going to write down a 4. So remember, we begin with the b. So I'm going to put 4. Remember, it's the y-intercept, so on the y-axis. So positive 4 is 1, 2, 3 right here. Now remember, this is rise over run. Rise over run. But to take care of my negative, I'm going to count down instead of up. I'm still going to count to the right. So I'm going to count down 3, 1, 2, 3, and then over 2 and put my dot. 1, 2, 3 over 2, put my dot. 1, 2, 3 over 2, put my dot. And there's my line. Now go back to the y-intercept, and I want you to reverse that direction. Go up and to the left. 1, 2, 3 over 2, and I can go one more time. 1, 2, 3 over 2. Okay, connect your dots. Go all the way through, put arrowheads on the end. So remember, we talked about slope before. It is a decreasing line from left to right. My negative number should produce a decreasing line. If I go back to the first page, my positive slope produced this increasing line. So those are some things to check for. Okay, what I'd like you to do is I want you to pause this video, and I want you to work on these next two examples. And then when you come back, I will, what I think I'll do is I'll go ahead and have the lines on the graph, but I'll calculate x and y-intercept with you. So go ahead and pause it right now. Okay, so I went ahead and identified the m and the b on both equations, the m and the b, and then graph the line. So what I want to do is go through the x and y-intercepts with you. Now I'm going to start with y-intercept, and that is because, remember, these equations are all about slope-intercept form. So the b is the y-intercept. So it's going to be extremely easy to identify. So on this first one, I'm just going to shorten the word intercept. The y-intercept is the 8. So as an ordered pair, that is 0, 8. So I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. The y-intercept on this is the negative 5, so 0, negative 5. Now, when you look at the picture, I can't exactly tell where it crosses the x. It looks like it's in between 1 and 2. This one looks like it's in between maybe 7 and 8. So remember, when you calculate the x-intercept, my 0 needs to be where the y is located. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug a 0 in for y and solve it. So I'm going to have 0 equals negative 5x plus 8. And then when I go ahead and solve it, I'm going to solve for x. So I need to take away 8 from both sides. So that will give me a negative 8 is equal to a negative 5x. And then when I divide off my negative 5, I'm going to get a decimal. So let's calculate. If I do negative 8 divided by negative 5, I end up with 1.6. And it looks like it's about 1.5, but my x-intercept is going to be 1.6, 0. Okay? Now, if it would have been, if I would have gotten lucky, and sometimes I do, where I count out my slope and I land right on a coordinate, then it's really easy. I just write that down. So same thing here. I got to plug my 0 in for y. So for my x-intercept, I'm going to have to do 0 equals 2/3 x minus 5. So go ahead and solve it. Add 5 on both sides. So that will leave me with a 5, and then a 2/3 x. And then now I need to divide off my 2/3. So I'm going to divide both sides by 2/3. So when I key that in, 5 divided by 2/3, I get 7.5. And it looks like 7.5. So my x-intercept is going to be 7.5, 0. Okay. All right, let's move on. Next couple we're going to look at are in ordered pairs, and if you look ahead to the next one, a table. So I still am going to go for the equation y equals mx plus b. So there's two ways to do slope here. Number one, I'm going to go ahead and graph these points. So let's do that. Graph 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 0, -4. Okay, so I'm going to connect these. So any 2 points will create a straight line. I can just connect them. Now I can do one of two things. I can just count rise over run here, which is probably the easiest thing to do. So don't forget where rise over run can come into play. Now this line is going up. It's increasing, so it's positive. So I'm not going to worry about negatives because there aren't any negatives. So I'm going to count rise over run. So it is rising 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3. So rising 9, running 3. And that does reduce down to a 3/1. Now my y-intercept. Well, if I look, that is on the y-axis, so that is my y-intercept. So it's 0, -4, or the b is -4. So if I want to go ahead and write the equation out, this is y equals 3x minus 4. Okay, so that would be my equation, my slope and my y-intercept, and there's my line. Now, to reinforce to you how it's 3/1, I'm going to go back to my y-intercept and count up 3/1. And I should land perfectly on my line. So 1, 2, 3/1. 1, 2, 3/1. 1, 2, 3, and so those are the dots. Okay? All right, next one. I would do the same thing. Let's plot all these points out. So let's plot the 4 ordered pairs and connect our line. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4, -4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, -2, and 6, 0. Okay. All right, there's my line. Now, my slope again, I can count rise over run. So it is increasing. It's going to be another positive slope. So that's going to be, and I can choose any 2 points. It'll be the same slope. So I'm going up 2/1, up 2/1, up 2/1. So the m is going to be 2/1 or 2. Now, my y-intercept I can't see, but it's going to extend down here. So let's see if we can figure out exactly what it is. So I'm going to go back to this dot. And remember before when I had you count up and over, and then I had you go back and count down in the other way? So let's keep doing that until we run into the y-axis. So from this dot, it's up 2/1. So I'm going to go down 2/1, down 2/1, down 2 and over 1. So that means I've gone down 2 spots and over 1. So I can extend my y-axis by 2. So that's going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So my y-intercept is at -12, or I can write it as an ordered pair. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop this video, and then I want you to go on to the second video because there's a few more I'm going to have you look at.